right, we've got a lot of Neeb support here. Let's go to the commentary team for this one. Roddy and Nate, take it away.
Thank you very much, Apollo. It is time for the grand finals. We are loaded into Korhal Carnage Knockout, Roddy.
How many times have you said that, Nate?
Like none. In the bottom right position. Spawning as the red Zerg player from Team Root, we have Hydra. Looking to reassert himself after his nemesis Pulp was removed, but can this young man bring the hopes and dreams of the United States to fruition? Give it up for Ting's Neeb!
The most interesting chant of all time. You know,
this Texas crowd, they've got a good Neeb. It's a long, deep one, you know?
Neeb. All right. I ask you, how many times do you said it, Nate? Because I haven't casted a whole lot of games on this map. Maybe 1 or 2 over the past few weeks, but not more than that. Obviously, I've played my fair amount on it because I don't really like to veto maps. I don't like it that much as a Protoss. However, Hydra said that he didn't like it, and that's much more important than my own personal experience. I can imagine why he doesn't like it, because if you open up with a Zealot, you knock down the cooling tower. You can sit here very comfortably as a Protoss for a while. You can go up to 3 bases completely uncontested, unless Hydra goes through a cooling tower or goes through debris, but that's annoying, and that also reveals your hand and gives plenty of time for Protoss to maybe get a couple of sentries out and whatever. So I can see why Hydra doesn't like it. However, I really wonder how much Neeb actually does like it.
Yeah, it's interesting to consider in terms of what types of units these players like to use. You know, Protoss, of course, those choke points can always be useful for things like force fields, your immortal adept attacks, and I think this map, it's more about expanding, because there's no bases in the center of the map. You have that one gold base. There's that one gold base, but it's not an expansion that you normally take, so you're constantly spreading in a ring around the map, and that kind of forces you, you're attacking either clockwise or counterclockwise, but you don't have those big open engagements, and that's where we've seen Neeb falter. Even in his games against Snoot, it was where those Banelings, those Zerglings had a large amount of area to envelop that Protoss force. On this map, highly unlikely he's going to be able to get those positions.
I know, you're spot on. I took that base once just for fun because it looked so cool. It's like, wow, my mineral patches are in a circle around my Nexus. I gotta try that once, that's awesome. We see one Adept being produced over here by Neeb. I think he's gonna let that Shade finish, indeed. He's gonna send it across the map. Sometimes even a single Adept can get a little bit of work done, but since speed is more than halfway done, I don't think that's going to be the case. This could already be annoying, but the Mothership Core is about to pop, so Neeb should not lose any workers here if he would somehow end up losing a single probe. That's frustrating. Look at this Adept doing work, Nate, on the other side of the map. This is a really solid start. 2 drones already.
Getting a good amount of scouting information, seeing everything that there is to see. And the drone's already pre-posed, like, okay, do we have to go for it? Nope, not quite. Meanwhile, Hydra, of course, is on 3 bases now, and look at that very fast robotics facility.
I know, that's ridiculously fast. 3 minutes and 10 seconds. He's going to use a Photon Overcharge to knock down this cooling tower, maybe afraid of a crazy link flood.
And you know, now that I really think about it, I actually really think that these spawns have a big potential for Neeb, because he can, where his 3rd base would ideally go is pretty much up the ramp by his natural, right? And suddenly, he's right next to the 3rd base of Hydra, so pushing out, being aggressive can be so much easier because it's just that one choke point between Neeb's potential 3rd and Hydra's 3rd, where, you know, you're not going to be able to get a very good position on a Protoss army that's clumped up.
Nope, and it's going to be very rough as well. If you ever want to defend a location like that, obviously Lurker would be the go-to unit, but it takes a while to get to Lurkers. We said that the other day as well. It feels like it takes forever when you start morphing that Hydra then. One Overlord does get picked off. Overall, this is a very solid opening for Neeb. It's just a couple of minor advantages across the board, but they stack up. If I open up with an Adept that I actually save, that doesn't die, kill 2 drones, force drones to run away, I love it. Could be a little bit of Disruptor harass over here with a Warp Prism with speed and a couple of Disruptors.
I can get behind that. He's supply blocked. He's had something cute on his Robo facility. I don't know if that's the Prism. Okay, it's an Immortal. So setting himself up, I mean, I think Immortals early on, if you're planning to do a later push, can of course be useful just at breaking down the debris to get to the next base. So that's one thing to consider. But also maybe he's just worried about the potential of getting attacked before he can make whatever play he wants to do.
Yeah, but I mean, why would he make a Robo Bay if he wants to attack with Immortals, right? Like, he's probably going to open up with a Disruptor. I can only imagine we're going to see Warp Prism speed and some Disruptor harass.
I'd expect something just like a safety Immortal.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of airspace around the bases over here. I mean, look behind the natural of Hydra. That's ridiculous. Like, you know, know, War Prisms can just have a day.
Tell you what, as a Terran player, you absolutely love this map, Liberator Heaven. And there's the Disruptor, Roddy, with +1 attack coming in as well in that third Nexus, which, like I said, within, I'm pretty sure you could get like where that mineral line is going to be within one screen, basically, of the other mineral line. Yeah, you're super close. So this kind of just encourages that really early aggression.
Yeah, I mean, this is rough. I like that Hydra is already starting to work on this debris, but Neeb is showing, he's like, hey man, my army's actually over here. This is a cool move by Hydra as well. He's going to drop the Spire. Like, I think if you just make Hydralisk over here, the army of Hydra will be stronger. The biggest problem is he can't actually go through this because he will get force fielded out for days, and that will happen at the other location as well. So even though Hydras would be the right unit to go to, I like this by Neeb as well. He's applying pressure, doesn't have to commit, can always back off, can always retreat with force fields. This is smart play.
It's important to keep in mind that if he does make a mistake or slip up and his army gets caught out of position or somehow Hydra's able to overwhelm him, he's immediately at the third base. So that's going to die super quickly, and then he's also very close to the natural expansion. So you're playing with fire by getting this aggressive this early on. Counterattacks
does have the Mothership Core though.
Yep, recall of course will be very important to have that handy. Disruptor ball goes out, gets two Hydraless force fields come down as the Disruptor does get picked off.
Yeah, he loses Disruptor, and actually a lot of the sentries getting trapped over here as well. Mothership Core will recall the units out in time to where? To right over here. A lot of those units still a little bit exposed, but Photon Overcharge will save the day for now.
Yep, and now another Disruptor comes out as well. Those Disruptors so key. And Aspire, you know, I love the idea of mutas on the set just because you avoid the middle of the map so much, you can still bounce between those bases very easily.
The biggest problem for Hydra is that he has absolutely no money to make Mutalisk, Nate. I like the idea of Mutalisk as well, but I don't think Neeb is ever going to allow him.
He's building Spines and Hydra, so yeah, right, all of his money is going straight into defense, but Neeb is coming up. Once again, those Hydras are so squishy. I love the high number of Adepts in this army. There's not a lot to buffer for the Hydras, save those Queens, and once that Disruptor reloads, things get ugly very quickly.
I love the super fast Disruptor. It's getting so much value.
Hydras, picks off the Queen, and Neeb takes a dominating fight, moving forward as the drones get pulled, and already taking a demonstrative supply lead against the Korean Zerg player. Neeb taking the first map for America. GG!
Very decisive victory over here. That often counts as more than just a single map. It's really one of these like, all right, am I good enough to win this series? Well, we're about to find out.
That's right, we are loaded into Dusk Towers, ladies and gentlemen. This is the DreamHack Austin Grand Finals. In the bottom left position as the Red Zerg from Root Gaming, he's Hydra! And lots of cheers in the crowd, especially for this young man hailing from New York. He is Tings Neeb! How awesome must that feel to come out here and make it this far? There's so many tournaments that happen in StarCraft, Kev, but to be able to do it in your own country as an American must be really something special. We have had so few events, and this one has really been amazing.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I would like to speak from my own experience, but I don't have any, Nate. I never really did all that well. We didn't have too many tournaments in my city either. A long, long time ago when I played. But I can only imagine. You can see it, man. He just looks happy on stage. He looks comfortable, and above all, he's just playing excellent StarCraft so far. But once again, this is a very, very big map. So far, Neeb going for a very standard opening. Gate into Nexus, followed up with the Cyber Core. He is going to scout over here as well. He's going to see everything looks normal, except for the fact, which is not crazy, that Hydra expanded first on the low ground rather than taking his pocket expand. And whenever I face this, Nate, I'm always a tiny bit worried about maybe a massive Queen push marching across the map, very similar to what Snoot did earlier today on Frozen Temple. And those builds are very rough to deal with. I must say, I think Neeb did a phenomenal job on Frozen Temple and not just straight up dying, but he did ended up being pretty far behind. Even though that game went on for a while, he did take a lot of damage. And whenever I see a Zerg player do this, that's already in the back of my mind as a Protoss player. It's like, okay, be careful, be cautious.
It's just those things that you have to think about as well. Like, are they planning something else nefarious? If you don't check the pocket natural, what if they don't take it? It can make things even worse. And at this time, we all see the Nexus finishing up. There's an Adept pops and a Stargate opening. Talk to me, Kevin.
You know, I love it, Nate. I mean, I'm not sure if Neeb is going to open up with an Orc or a Phoenix over here. That's often personal preference, right? I like my Phoenix play. I think Neeb likes his Phoenix play as well. His Phoenix control is excellent, never really just suicides them. Couple of Adepts into Phoenixes works well. It's easy to secure your own turret base, which is very important, obviously, as Protoss. And the most important thing, Phoenix's map presence. I mean, we know it, right? It's guaranteed damage. It will always force out a couple of Spore Crawlers. But it is a very fast Stargate, and when they rush into the Stargate this quickly, sometimes they will try to catch their opponent off guard with an Oracle, which obviously has higher you know, burst damage than a single Phoenix.
Yeah, interesting to see how the Overlord speed is going to play out, being able to get that early scouting information. If it is, in fact, an Oracle, I mean, should kind of see it coming a little bit to some degree, Phoenix. But it will be a Phoenix play. At the very least, that means pulling the Overlords back will be easier.
Yeah, this is not all that bad for Hydra. He's probably going to lose at least one Overlord. Maybe he ends up losing two, but at least he knows what he's going up against. What is very important, oh, this is nice for Hydra. He's going to pick up this Adept in the middle of the map. Not before Neeb still gets two more.
Survive.
No. In the end, some things are just meant to die, Nate. If he dies, he dies, and he died.
Nah, it's all good.
Did he see the gateways, though, with his Overlord? That is something that I am worried about right now, because Neeb can actually apply some pretty serious pressure with the additional Adepts that he has. If he wipes in like 3 more Adepts and Hydra decides to skip the Roach one, this is something that Zerg players often do, right? It's like, oh, okay, you go for very fast Phoenixes, cool. This will allow me to just drone up for a little while, and they'll skip the Roach one or even skip the Baneling Nest, and then suddenly if 7, 8 Adepts make their way across the map, that's where things get very rough for the Zerg player.
Yeah, he's got the probe down here, taking that 3rd base, and the Phoenix counts can continue to rise. So it doesn't look like we see a huge commitment just yet. Okay, so +1 melee. So is this already giving us an idea? Okay, well I guess the drop Overlord on the production tab is also going to suggest we're going to see some drops.
Yeah, maybe just mass Zerglings over here as well. Maybe he's just going to try to overrun Neeb over here. I mean, Phoenixes are pretty awful against Zerglings, right? That's safe to say. You don't really want to ever lift up Zerglings with your Phoenixes. We see the Baneling Nest there as well. I have the idea right now that Hydra is going to stay on hatchery tech for quite a while, make a few more drones, and then just make nothing but units and just try to completely overrun Neeb. Unless this is just for like a secret Baneling drop somewhere, he's going to tuck away an Overlord. But
the Baneling Nest isn't done just yet. I mean, this is a drop Overlord for sure, but there's nothing inside, so.
I mean, he's still making a couple of drones. I'm a little bit surprised here. I really wonder why Hydra is going to take this. Double Robo is the follow-up. I mean, I guess that's something that Hydra is sort of expecting, because that's not uncommon, right? We see this very frequently.
Relatively standard.
Oh, we do see a layer there.
So what exactly, it's kind of an interesting choice to just throw it into Scout. I mean, the probes are running away. They don't know it's empty, so I guess it's getting some value.
Yeah, normally you want to do this, right? If people just tuning in wondering, what on earth is Neeb doing? It's because most of the time when you see this in this phase in the game,
it means Baneling drops are coming.
Exactly, and if you don't move away your probes from Baneling drops, you're going to lose all of them.
Yeah, you lose them all. And then you're way behind and everything just goes terrible.
Look at the work account. I mean, 70 drones right now for Hydra. He does, of course, have this 4th base already. He's going to have very, very quick access to +1. But where is he going to take this from here? Is it just going to be a Hydraless then? Is he just going to play Hydra Ling into Lurkers eventually?
That lair still isn't ready. I mean, he does have the +1 melee, but shows his hand with the drop Overlord as well, saying, you know, I was thinking about maybe doing something like this. And +1 attack is going to boot up. We have the robotics facilities complete. Single portal on the way.
So many drones, Nate. Holy hell, he already has 65 workers. He's making 13 more. Of course, he's always going to lose a couple. I mean, that's what I meant with Phoenix damage is inevitable. It doesn't matter if you're Hydra or Jaedong in his prime or Sulky. You will always take some damage of Phoenixes, but Hydra is like, right now he's playing very, in a way, almost reckless, where he's just like, I'm just sure you're not going to attack me. I know you're making a couple of robos. It's very unlikely you ever attack me off the back of double robo.
Against this. Yeah, Baneling speed starts up too with an infestation.
He's just gonna rush up to ult. No, he's definitely not gonna rush up to ult.
Doesn't work quite that well against Protoss. It can work, but
I'm a little bit surprised because going through this phase in the game without a Spire or without a Hydra Dam, we do see the Spire being morphed in right now. It's very weird. I think he has enough. Well, I won't say I think he has enough Zerglings, but enough he's sure about that, Nate. He doesn't really have a whole lot of units. Neeb is just going to move out right now, clean up a little bit of creep. Still has these Phoenixes, still finding openings left and right. Can we take a look at the units lost resource tab? Because I have the feeling that Neeb has lost almost nothing this game.
Yeah, resources lost would be kind of interesting to look at this point, but some Banelings do get morphed in. Speed is almost ready as +1 attack is finished. I like using this high ground spot, can force yourself in, get a couple of drone kills. That Immortal is going ham on the Spore Crawler.
One shot at a time.
Yeah.
7 more gateways, by the way, as a follow-up over here for Neeb.
I love this though, denying a couple of the mineral patches too. Drones still dying.
He has killed quite a few drones already in this game. Even though Hydra still has 78 drones, he has lost so many drones. And this is just a very hard army to engage. There we go. Look at this, man.
Ouch.
Neeb has lost 1 unit, has killed 43 units.
That poor Adept that almost made it out.
Alright, couple of Banelings will start rolling in. Neeb not paying attention. Now suddenly losing a whole lot of... Well, he was just not looking there, Nate. He could have force fielded that off easily.
That definitely
mistake.
stings, yeah, quite a bit. No force fields available then because of that. Some High Templar getting morphed in, so he's trying to put his gas towards his tech that's come out, but not a lot of force fields.
Hive already done, Nate. Greatest Spire on the way.
Ling Bane Broodlord.
Yeah, that's quite bizarre. I mean, it's very important for Neeb that he identifies this. I'm not sure if the Phoenixes have seen that Greatest Spire. They've seen the Spire, just not the Greatest Spire, but they know about the Hive. So I guess Neeb has a pretty decent run on this. More Banelings rolling in. This time the splits are good though, Nate. Only a couple Stalkers dying.
He brought those splits back from when he was playing Terran, Roddy. But there's still quite a few waiting back, as well as those Spine Crawlers. It just comes up, he's like, yep, let me just throw them into you. Burn through most of your shields. I mean, the only thing that's the Immortals.
Barriers soaking up Banelings for days. It's important for Neeb that he doesn't give too much respect to Hydra right now. Nate, he needs to go.
But there aren't any Corruptors on the map yet either, right? So there is a little bit more time, even though the Greater Spire is ready.
Yeah, but that's like, this is not the point. Hydra right now has almost no units other than a few Banelings. If Neeb goes for it and snipes the potential 4th and 5th base, or the 4th base that's over here.
Yeah, he can do crippling amounts of damage.
Yeah, exactly. But if he waits and he starts fighting Broodlords, that's where things become much more complicated. Obviously, Neeb doesn't know what we know, but this is the moment. Neeb, Hydra is like nothing.
Yeah, this would be the best time for him to push out. I mean, he has a probe at the 4th, but the Lings are there to deny. Just needs to keep pushing. It's just Zerglings and Banelings. Adrenal Glands is about to finish too. These Lings are not quite as strong as they could be, or they will be, in a few moments' time.
All right.
I like that he's going for these splits, though. Comes up, the Immortals soak up a lot of the damage. Lings coming in from behind at the same time. More Stalkers being warped in as +2 attack finishes. Adrenal Glands is done, but the Immortals and the Stalkers are still standing strong. The Banelings have been cleaned up. The Immortals will mow and plow straight through these spores and spines. Will the Ling reinforcements be enough? 18 Banelings on the way.
I love it. Adepts being warped in. I was about to call for it. He could really use a couple of Adepts just to make sure they can tank a little bit more against those Zerglings, and they can actually deal with Zerglings a little better than Immortals and Stalkers can. It's a lot of Zerglings over here though for Hydra. Good pickups on the Immortals, but the Banelings connect with everything.
Those Baneling detonations, they get right between all of those units. You'd think, oh, most of them are armored. Well, Banelings can still be pretty damn good if you're hitting enough units at one time. And now we see, Kev, the first Corruptors are on the production tab. We are going to see possibly those Broodlords very soon. Keep in mind, he didn't knock down those bases. The economy is still in place to power up and move into that Hive tech.
What happened with those Terran splits, Nate, that you were talking about?
You know, I'll admit, Kev, your Protoss units are too slow for me.
A few more Archons would have just done miracles. Like a few Archons, a few Immortals. He was just extremely Stalker Immortal heavy. I guess Neeb was convinced that he was going to have to deal with at least a couple Broodlords. So
another thing as well is the Adept's range is so low. By the time they can kill a Baneling, it's going to blow up in their face.
But it's that previous fight, I feel, where Neeb lost more units than he should have lost. If he has 2-3 extra Immortals there and he splits his units up a little bit, there's only so much Ling Bane can do. Obviously on creep it's always terrifying, but I think that could have gone a lot better for Neeb than it went. I like the additional Adepts, but I feel it was by then a little too late because he lost a lot of units before that.
And he still never saw the Greater Spire, right? But he has to assume that the gas is going somewhere. You know, you're not only spending every gas you have on Banelings to defend. Not very cost-effective versus late-game Protoss.
Yep, he still has these Phoenixes over here as well, but excellent hold though by Hydra. I gotta give credit where credit is due. That was a pretty terrifying Protoss army marching across the map on a very unfortunate moment for him. He just wanted to peace out and make some Broodlords, was forced to defend with Ling Bane, and got a couple of very, very good connections.
Yeah, so some Lings are going to come up now towards the 3rd base. Need to watch that possible run-by. Possible? Okay, there they go. There's the Warp-ins to stop it now. A couple Zealots. That should be enough. Trapping these Zerglings inside, of course, these are very dangerous Lings. +3 attack and Adrenal Glands. If you let them get in a probe line, if you let them get around a Nexus, it will die.
Yep, I cannot emphasize that statement enough, Nate. If those Lings make their way into the main base of Neeb, that is the beginning of the end. These Lings, they may seem harmless, but they're not harmless at all. These are terrifying creatures.
They're not cute. They're not Carbot Lings.
No, they will kill everything very, very quickly. And if you think warping a couple of Zealots is going to deal with it, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. 23 Banelings on the way. So the weird thing about these Banelings is if you try to get underneath the Broodlords with Stalkers blinking to get them, it's going to be very difficult. So I'm not sure how he's going to approach this army.
This base is super dead. This 4th base of Neeb is extremely exposed. He's very Zealot heavy right now. I'm very worried. He's going to warp in a couple of units, but this is what we were just talking about.
Yeah, +3 Banelings, one-shot probes as well, so it's an incredible amount of damage to throw onto that force as the Zealots come in, trying to help deal with this. Charge is just about ready. 17 probes were picked off in the defense of that base. But here we go. The Broodlords are here. There's so many of them. 5 more on the way. Neeb's army cannot get close enough with all those Banelings underneath.
And that army is probably not even strong enough. I mean, look what happened to all these Zealots, Nate. There's a Photon Overcharge as well. In the end, these Lings will get picked up, but not before they've killed all the probes, all these Zealots, the pylons over here as well. And this is just a terrible army against Broodlords. There's no other way to put it. Like, yeah, in an ideal world, the Archons stand right below the Broodlords and they shoot at them. Well,
there are so many Banelings.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen. You know, these Archons, they will always get stuck behind the Broodlings.
Yep. Yeah, man. So you think about like trying to use Thor's, man, those Broodlings will hold them back. Now everything's gonna try to push forward at once. The Banelings crash into the Zealots, destroying most of them, and GG is called. Hydra ties the series 1 apiece.
What a great game. Well, if he looks back at this game, he's probably thinking like, man, I should have just get like 2 or 3 extra Archons, then take that fight again, and I'll win it any day of the week. Because there's a reason why Zergs don't just match Zerglings and Banelings.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily supposed to work, but it works in scenarios.
The Colossus used to be the Terror, and even now it should be the Archon. But let's find out who takes the lead in this grand final. We're loaded into game number 3 on Frozen Temple. In the top left position, we have the Red Zerg from Root. He's Hydra. And facing off against him, taking the first map in this series. Can he go back ahead? In the bottom right, representing Ting, he is Neeb.
Awesome crowd. Austin has been phenomenal over the last few days, and I can't wait to see how these remaining games play out. And Nate, look at the build order. Already gas being mined for Hydra. Pretty damn early pool. Neeb will scout it, but if I'm Neeb, like, he's gonna warp in the Nexus right now, and that's already a given. I'm not 100% sure what Hydra is going to do with this. He could just go crazy on Zerglings. He could also go crazy on Zerglings and drop a couple of Lings in the main. He will have a hatchery on the low ground, but he has very, very quick access to Zergling and Zergling speed. And normally there's a reason for that.
Yeah, this is just one of those things where it's very difficult to read a player like Hydra. You know he gets build strategy and advice from guys like Cats. You know he's one of those players that will throw those drops at you. He'll throw those Ling drops. I mean, how many guys have we seen able to bait somebody with a fake empty drop overlord like that? You know, he'll get in your head in any possible way.
I really liked it. Went for the Dropper Lord, realized that it was going to be hard to sneak Banelings across the map, just send an empty Dropper Lord, and actually did a lot of indirect damage. We do already see a pylon being wiped in right next to the Nexus over here as well for Neeb. That is in case he has to worry about Link drops, because Neeb also saw, he's like, wow, fast pool, fast gas. All right, I mean, this means that your economy is going to be a little weaker than it's supposed to be, but this obviously gives you the ability to be aggressive in one way or the other. There are many ways that Zerg can be aggressive off this opening. They don't have to be, but they can be.
Yeah, I mean, at worst, you're just getting your queens out a little bit faster. You can still take that third base pretty quickly, but you're going to be safe against any sort of crazy shenanigans that could happen. And that probe should have spotted that drone.
That's unfortunate. Then again, with 2 Lings there, it's going to be hard. Forge. So Neeb is a little paranoid, Nate. There is a reason why he's making a Forge. This is a much quicker Forge than we see in most of the games in Protoss vs Zerg. So, I mean, it's hard to look into a player's mind, right? But he is a little bit paranoid. Maybe Link Queen, does he? No, I don't think he has to worry about that. You know, that build that was popular for like 3 weeks where they put in a bunch of Queens and Zerglings and Overlords and fly across the map. But I don't see that happening over here. So I'm not 100% sure what Neeb is thinking of.
Yeah, and a fast sentry, so...
Yeah, he's worried. Like, he's worried about the aggression because he scouted it. I mean, this reminds me a little bit, you remember Nurcho Showtime when Nurcho opened up with a very similar build like this, multiple times in a row, was not aggressive, was not aggressive, was not aggressive.
By the time Showtime stopped being defensive, he was aggressive and killed him pretty fast.
So, I mean, this is an opening. You gotta respect it as a Protoss, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that Zerg will always be aggressive of it.
Yeah, so +1 attack is going to be the choice. Of course, want to use that Forge for something, but there's no other tech with it. So the Overlord scouts that. I mean, as Hydra, you're like, okay, maybe he thought he was going to be attacked, but as Neeb, what do you do with this off of 2 bases?
I don't know, man. +1's pretty nice.
I mean, I was going to say, like, I know that +1 used to be like the thing for Zealot attacks, but Adepts are just generally better in low numbers.
This like Legacy of the Void is not the type of game where you can open up with a bunch of Zealots and just throw them away, and if they trade well, well, great. If they didn't, oh, it's no problem. Like, no. I mean, people are too good in this day and age. They will capitalize on you wasting 5, 6 Zealots and not getting a whole lot done with it. but maybe he's just going to be like, all right, I have good upgrades for the rest of the game. It's going to help securing this base. I mean, if he goes up to 3 bases right now, that's still very quick, Nate. That's 4 minutes and 30 seconds. That's very, very healthy.
Yeah, Lair's halfway done, and Twilight Council follow-up, so it could be going into a very fast +2 as well.
I mean, Adepts with +1 will at least still 2-shot workers.
Oh, okay, that's a pretty good point to bring up as well. So the harass will get a little bit easier on the part of Neeb with those Adepts. And Zealot, not on hold position, but moves back just in time. Not able to capitalize on that is hydra.
I mean, I guess
makes its way up.
Never mind, they always do. It's the SUV that does more HP. But I mean, this didn't really do anything.
Nope.
I was thinking of SUVs and
Marines. With how slow the Adept attack is, sometimes it can regen enough if you don't immediately get the second shot off.
Yeah, that's true. Dance a little bit back and forth.
I thought I killed drones for free when I played Korhal. I learned that one quickly. I'm like, you do have to finish the drone off.
I mean, good scout over here by Hydra. Scouts is a main base. Probably a little bit confused about that push as well. He's going to be even more confused when he's like, wow, you're still on 3 bases. That's very nice because, I mean, Neeb had the potential to actually go up to 3 bases there. He's making more sentries, by the way, Nate. I mean, he's just going to make a massive blink stock. Old school attack.
Yeah, exactly. This looks like an Adept-flavored Heart of the Swarm build, like +2, blink stalkers, very sharp, aggressive build.
But with groove spines or muscular augments, I should call it, already half or on the way. I'm not sure. I mean, this Nexus feels a little bit fake to me. TLO would say it's transitional, and that could be the case as well, because you do mine out your main base very quickly. But he's not building probes, and Neeb is too good to just forget to build probes. So there is a reason he's not building probes. He wants to make this push happen. He wants to win with this push. If these links get a cancel on this base immediately, that's going to put Hydra in a phenomenal position.
Yeah, so +2 is about to finish. Blink is about to finish. And as you said, muscular augments a little over halfway done now. Once that finishes, those Hydras move a bit faster off creep. They get an extra range. It makes them so much more fearsome. And as the army moves out, smack dab in the middle of an Overlord.
Yep, but that's a great scout though for Hydra. That's going to allow him to reposition his army. And it's going to be like, all right, I'll just make sure that you can't walk up this ramp anymore. And if he would be able to walk up the ramp, then he could just drop force fields and zone the Zerg army away. Maybe pick up the Evo chamber or pick up the hatchery, but it's going to be a lot harder right now with the units of Hydra in the right position.
Yeah, decent force field so far, pulling in 1 or 2 of the Hydralisks, get rid of the Spine Crawler, limit the amount of micro that they can do, but that Hydralisk upgrade is ready. Lings coming in from the backside onto this army.
That's very well done by Hydra. There's just no DPS in this Protoss army, Nate. I mean, it all looks fancy and flashy, Guardian Shield sentries, it's cute and all, but it doesn't really kill stuff quick enough. I mean, for every Hydra that you kill, 2 more pop up. Neeb needs to start killing more units.
Yeah, the Evolution Chamber is exposed in this position, but he needs to get real, true damage done to this base because he's also getting attacked back at that 3rd base by the Lings.
Yeah, that's a good counter, but I mean, at the same time, I would say Hydra, you can use those units at home, but he does kill a couple of Stalkers. Reducing the Stalker count is incredibly important because there is blinks, and normally you say Stalkers are not supposed to die. I do think that +1 is going to get cancelled, but Hydra right now knows if I just defend one more time, if I clean up this army, I pretty much win the game.
Yep, the Stalkers continue to step forward, focusing them down. Lings are now being added into the equation. The Hydra is still standing strong, fighting even through the Guardian Shield, and that War Prism is going to come trying to make a few pickups to try and keep this push prolonged. As you said, he has the blink, but more Hydras come. The Lings are returning home. He's retreated back, but he did not get the damage done, it seems, necessary. There's still that 3rd base up for Hydra.
Exactly. He killed 16 drones. That's great, guys. Don't get me wrong. And he also denied +1, I believe. I think that never finished up, but he only survived that with 4 Stalkers. And that's it. He doesn't have
lurkers are coming.
Fighting lurkers on 2 bays without a Robo Bay. Nate, I've been there. Another place I ever want to go back to.
No, it's a dark, dark place. Lurkers are the enemy of pretty much every single Protoss unit that isn't a disruptor. And even then, they can still kill those.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Immortals can do great, but if you're only on 2 bases, single Immortal, one at a time.
You can't afford to build what you need.
Exactly. And I mean, Hydra also knows at the moment he marches across the map, he sends a couple. Okay, it's just going to be more Stalkers. I mean, Hydra doesn't even really need Lurkers. Putting a couple of Lurkers, oh, that's. He's going to have enough time. Putting a few Lurkers there on the high ground is going to make it borderline impossible for these Stalkers to... Ooh, he's going to burrow them very quickly, though. I mean, Stalker, does he even have an Observer here, Nate? I don't think he even does.
Nope, no Observer on the map.
Wow,
Here it cancels 2 of the morphing Lurkers, though, but there's still 1 here, and that damage is not going to stop. 1 Lurker. You
remember that clip of the Marines avoiding that Brood War Lurker? I mean, that's kind of what the Stalkers have to do right now.
This game does not have that AI, so...
Come on, Automaton 2000. Show us your Blink Stalker micro.
And Zerglings are going to poke forward. There's a Zealot with the overcharge as well. So, I mean, one lurker can't cover the whole area. Still cover the most important area.
A little bit silly from Hydra, because if he has 3 lurkers there, this is 100% over. Losing 2 out of the 3 morphing lurkers somehow gives Neeb a chance, while he was not supposed to have a chance, but I still really like Hydra's position.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to continue to blink against these Hydralisks, doing everything he can. Even without that +1, that concave helps so much. Another Warpin is going to come up here as another lurker makes its way closer.
A lot of Hydras dying, though.
But can he continue this push as the Lings come back from the other side of the map? It doesn't look that likely. Another lurker pushing forward, enveloping this army.
Yeah, too much swarm, I think. I mean, really good effort, though, by Neeb. He's making Hydra work for it, but he has no answer to these lurkers. He's still being outmined, and I think enough Hydras will pop for Hydra to eventually stabilize. But boy, is Neeb making this close, much closer than I think it ever should have been.
Yeah, he's putting his best foot forward here, but it's been so difficult with that plethora of Hydralisks that continue to come out, pulling the drones. Once again, cannot afford to lose that Prism if he wants to keep this attack going, and one of the Hydralisks does grab those 2 Stalkers.
There was still a lurker, I believe, on the low ground as well that picked up 1 kill there. Man, is Neeb making this close? How is he doing this on 2 base? No, that was the only observer.
Keep in mind that main base is going to be running dry very soon.
Oh, it's super empty,
With no third Nexus, his income is about to plummet.
Neeb's main base looks like my bank account right now. It's empty.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah, feels bad.
2 lurkers about to finish up. And I mean, as that lurker count increases, we talked about this is not the army to beat it. So he's going to take a little bit of a hidden base in the northeast. Does grab one of the lurkers. Nice micro, but he's used his blinks. These Hydralisks desperate to get on top of that War Prism. Another lurker does burrow too.
Oh my god, he's just dancing with his medevac. I mean, this reminds me a little bit of Masa, his medevac. The War Prism reminds me of Masa, his medevacs. It's so incredibly low on HP, and it really feels the moment that that Prism dies, Neeb will just die, but it just keeps on flirting with all these Hydras, and somehow, some way, it doesn't die.
Yeah, he really needs to keep chipping away at that lurker count. That's the most terrifying part of this army for Hydra. I'm pretty surprised that Neeb's still in this one, to be honest. I mean, I feel like it's going to be a really brutal comeback if he can make it happen.
4 sentries being warped in. That's not because Neeb necessarily wants to make sentries right now. I mean, sentries not bad, don't get me wrong, but most of the time when you start making sentries here, it's because your minerals are mined out. And you're like, well, I've got some left. You scrape every penny together, and then you realize you've got a whole bunch of gas.
All right, so the observers here goes for one of the lurkers and whiffs. Keep in mind those Hydras with an Overseer, very, very capable of picking them up. A Ling spots that base too, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him flirt a few over to the northeast and shut that down.
Very well done there by Hydra. I mean, Hydra does have to worry a tiny bit about these sentries. A couple of Lings being transported. Hydra's like, hey, you're not supposed to have a third base. The engagement happens. Another lurker, Nate, got picked off there.
Yeah, that's the most important unit to chip away at here. There, the first few force fields go in. Guardian Shield just trying to chip away at the Hydras bit by bit. There's another lurker still alive on the southeast side of this engagement, but getting to the mineral line, there's an opportunity here to try and blink into the main base if he gets cornered, and he will, but the War Prism is down. There's no more reinforcements coming into this army, and there's also not many places to run.
I mean, he does get the lurker down, so that's something, but he lost a lot of units over there, and he's not supposed to be able to protect this third base. Neeb is really making the most of what he has, but all the Stalkers, I think they're super trapped right now. Most of them will get picked off. He did do quite a bit of damage during all of this though, but losing his entire army other than 4 or 3 Stalkers, that's not worth it.
There are way too many Hydralisks on the map for Neeb to deal with. He does not have Disruptors. He does not have Heart of the Swarm Colossus.
Hydra is making Overseers right now because Hydra is asking himself, like, man, how much more money does he have? How can I still lose this game? A Dark Shrine. Please don't tell me you've got a Dark Shrine, you know. So he's going to counterattack right now. 1 pylon should not be enough. Well, it is apparently intimidating enough to push these Hydras back. Man, this game, how does Neeb do this?
He's still
He's supposed to be super dead for like the last 7 minutes, but he's still fighting.
Fighting his heart out here, doing everything he possibly can to stay alive in this third game here in the grand finals of DreamHack. But the Hydras, the Lynx continue to push up. That pylon still standing strong
Hydra
for the
really
Team Protoss.
Yeah, Hydra really needs to snipe that pylon because you cannot fight in range of Photon Overcharge. Photon Overcharge has like 3 times as much DPS than any Stalker.
This is a very key moment, holding on to this base, keeping the pressure up. I think he just got the Observer maybe as well. So Lurker Den is being remade. Very important to note.
This is bizarre to me. I mean, he's remaking the Lurker Den.
And Hydra's main is mined out too, so the more minerals, the better at this point. At least minerals that you can mine.
Wow. Neeb actually with a stunning performance over here. 60 armies fly against 42. I'm starting to believe a tiny bit again. I mean, he lost so ridiculously much. But somehow, I mean, he's still in it. Then again, Hydra never really comfortably mined of this base, so he's got minerals in this base left forever. Some moment, you know, 15 minutes in a game, even your third base starts running very dry. That's absolutely not the case. So Hydra can mine of this for a while, but Blink Stalkers have way more micro potential than Hydralisks do.
And of course, with that Blink being able to soak up a little bit more damage, those Stalkers have a lot more hit points, so just need to continue to put on pressure. I mean, once that Lurker Den finishes, look at the gas bank for Hydra. He's suffering from the same thing you were talking about, Roddy, and that is that gas floating as your mineral income drops.
He does drop a 4th hatchery. Very important that he eventually has a place to transfer some of these drones to. What I also really like is that Hydra has been sniping sentries in these fights. He realizes that Neeb is very good. He's not going to lose too many Stalkers. He will lose a couple of over here, but he always gets the sentry.
This fight's starting to go pretty south here. Neeb taking a lot of damage. Look how many low health Stalkers there are. These Hydras just attack so fast. Stutter stepping forward and destroying the majority of this army.
Wow, GG. That was an awesome fight by Hydra. The way
I just want more of this. That's all I need. This has been a phenomenal final so far, and so it shall continue. In the bottom right spawn, leading 2-1 in this best of 7. We have the Red Zerg player from Root Gaming. He's Hydra. And this man in the bottom left needs to win this one to tie it up. Can he do it from Ting? He's Neeb.
This chant, Nate. I know you told me the other day, Roddy, I don't speak soccer, but it reminds me a little bit of the World Cup in 2010 and the Vuvuzelas.
Oh, no. Even that became a meme enough for me to know about it. So.
It sounds a little bit like that.
Yeah, it's a deep roar.
Yeah.
I think fitting for Texas.
All right. Well, once again, we're looking at an early spawning pool over here. However, Nate, this time it's not an extractor, so this is a very different opening than what we saw on Frozen Temple. Hydra will just expand behind this, but it makes me wonder, why did he go for this early pool?
I mean, 6 lanes push out. Maybe he's got some other weird thing that he wants to do. Or maybe he's expecting Neeb to be opening a little bit greedier than normal so that he can try to punish that with the lings.
Yeah, maybe he thought that you're going to try to drop your pylon and your gateway on the low ground, and then 6 lings this early can definitely mess with that, can force you to warp in another pylon or buy time with probes, but that's not going to be the case. I really like this, by the way, for Neeb. As long as Neeb identifies in time, well, there we go. He has a probe on the other side of the map that this is going on.
Sending this probe scout out, by the way. Important.
Yeah, he's not gambling, right? He's playing solid. He has confidence. You can temporarily warp in a pylon to block it off, or you can just chrono boost your Zealot. Your Zealot will be out in time. You follow this up with a Mothership Core and then depth, and these 6 Zerglings that Hydra produced, they will do absolutely nothing. And it does hurt the Zerg economy, so early game in favor of Neeb.
All right, well, these lings started a little bit of a nibbling on that Nexus, but the Zealot
if he gets this around, that would be nice for Hydra, though.
He's got to put his back against a wall, fight minimal surface area against these Zerglings. Pretty good micro by Hydra, pulling the weakest Zerglings back. He kills the Zealot. Adept is about to pop. These lings have lost some health, so if the probes have to bring their tasers out, shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, but this is already something very well done there by Hydra, pretending to go for the Nexus, just hoping that that Zealot went out of position. I don't think that Neeb had to remove his Zealot, because it's not like 6 Zerglings are going to kill your Nexus in time. This hurts your Protoss economy quite a bit. This disrupts the build order, delays any additional tech. So even though he cleans it up, Hydra got maximum value out of a pretty bad scenario.
Yeah, nice little pressure here put on early in game number 4 of the grand final. Hydra looking to secure another championship.
Stargate, it's going to be once again right below the Overlord.
Feels bad, man.
Yes, that can be unfortunate. I don't really. I have to admit, I do this sometimes myself as well. And then people ask me, it's like, why do you do it? Don't you want to hide your Stargate? I mean, yes and no. I feel with, like, if you want to go Oracle and it comes as a surprise, yeah, obviously you want to hide the Stargate, right? Because if the Oracle flies into Spore Crawlers, it's useless. But Phoenixes, the fact that Phoenixes will do damage is inevitable. If it comes as a surprise, it's a little bit better. Often Overlords are a little bit more exposed, and Spore Crawlers could be a little bit later and out of position, but Phoenixes will always do damage.
Yep. All right, so this Ling still running around being annoying, does get picked off by that Adept as Mothership Core pops out. What will come of this Stargate? Phoenix, I think, fair play, especially since, as you said, the Overlord sees it very early on. You're not going to do something really weird in front of your opponent.
I would just drop a fleet beacon right next to it. Mind games.
It's like, oh my god, it's happening.
So Neeb just going up to 3 bases very quick over here. Makes sense. I mean, we talked a little bit about these rocks. He can always knock down those rocks. And then he's safe, doesn't have to worry about anything. But he also knew that the gas was late of Hydra. And, I mean, you can make a couple of Zerglings early on of being gasless, but that's it. You're not going to make nothing but slow Zerglings and just run them across the map. That will never happen.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. The Phoenix can also come in and scout, sees if the lair is on the way. Not quite yet halfway done, but still early enough that you'll have to be, you know, reasonably cautious about what could come of this, especially since Hydra's on 3 bases and droning up pretty hard.
Yeah, I'm keeping a close eye on the worker count. Right now, Hydra is up 10 workers, but that's relatively standard. I think it's a little more than you normally see in this phase in the game, but it's also a little bit deceiving because drones are about to morph into spore crawlers. They are about to morph into additional tech buildings. They're about to morph into more extractors and stuff as well. So don't let the numbers fool you too much. It's a pretty even game.
Yep, as, oh no. Seems our observer PC may be having a little bit of connection difficulties.
But that would make it difficult for us as well to cast this game, Nate.
Yeah, as some people are expecting to win a tournament at some point in this year, right. I would say both of them would have that expectation of themselves. We are back in the game. Double robotics facility transition for Neeb and Phoenix aplenty, roaming around and looking for kills.
That would have been my prediction, by the way. Double robo, a couple of immortals, and then obviously Neeb would like to sing this game into Disruptors. Hydra has multiple ways of sing this game out until he reaches Disruptors. Hydra with a pretty fast lurker then, and I'm saying pretty fast because I don't even think he's got the Hydra upgrade yet, right?
It's a pretty quick, pretty quick lurker den, especially considering how good it's been against the sort of armies that Neeb's been putting together. We haven't yet seen in this matchup, you know, as much as it's happened before, the disruptor play, and that is one of the things that he's loved to use against this sort of setup from Hydra.
I think Neeb just loves disruptors, period. If the game goes like this, this is where he excels. This is where he thrives. He loves just walking around with that big Protoss army, having a couple of disruptors, and we saw how good he was with them against Snoot as well on Prion Terraces. I mean, the most beautiful thing he did is the hardest thing to see, is that he's always out there with his army. So A, Snoot has to worry about it, or any Zerg would have to worry about disruptor hits landing on their army. And if they want to chase, that's phenomenal. It's nothing. There's nothing in this game that's harder to chase than disruptors because you're literally running into your death over and over and over again.
I mean, it's a calculated gamble. If you're able to get to the disruptor in time and kill it, the shot doesn't go off.
This is really hard to engage into.
If you're not, you lose everything. So there's the robotics bay on the way. Keep in mind, this is a super fast lurker den, so this army is not going to be expecting, I would say, to have lurkers at his front door this fast.
I don't think Neeb is paying attention over here. Look at all these sentries. They're super exposed. I think he was looking at his Phoenixes. Now he pays attention, and he's like, well, I've got a couple of pylons over here as well. 7 lurkers are morphing behind this. Very fast attack here by Hydra. I mean, much faster than it normally hits. I do like this instead of playing it slow and steady and letting Neeb get up to his disruptor count. Try to fight before this, but he's still got to worry about force fields, Nate.
Yeah, this is so much coming out of Hydra down the ramp. There's the overcharge on the pylons, cleaning up the links, but you know, the Immortals, a couple of the barriers do get triggered. One of the Immortals is picked up, and there's still so many lurkers.
This is a really good build by Hydra, and it's hitting very hard. One more photon overcharge will go down. Good force fields here, though, by Neeb. That's going to allow him to chew up a couple of units.
He's still building Immortals. Okay, he cancels them. Now Disruptors are on the way, but
that's smart.
He doesn't have enough Mothership Core energy, I think, to buy time for them.
Yeah, I mean, losing the 4th base, I don't think that means that he's necessarily losing the game. Neeb's got to sacrifice this. He has made great calls throughout this entire tournament, and right now he needs to make the call of, I cannot defend this base, let it go.
Yeah, he does. Doesn't look like there's a cancel on that one, but this is it. This is everything now for Neeb. These 2 disruptors that are about to pop out need to get some critical hits. Great force field to peel off more of the Hydralisks, as those are going to help push those back. Here we go. Disruptors are going to come out. 2 Purification Novas go out. Gets one of the lurkers.
Well, that's something. I mean, 1 lurker at a time will probably still keep him alive. I mean, Hydra is also very committed to this attack. More Hydras are streaming across the map for him. I mean, the upgrade is done.
Yeah, okay. The upgrade.
Yeah, the upgrade is done. He just got it after he got lurkers already.
All right. And they're great force fields, pulls a few more of the Hydras in, but yeah, gets rid of one of the disruptors. Another shot is going to go out, hits 2 of the lurkers, finishing one of them off, but another one still has enough help.
Does he have an observer, though? I don't see any observer.
He's only doing the disruptors.
He has one, but it's not here. One disruptor will connect and pick off one more lurker. This is getting very, very close. Neeb is down 20 supply, but if he survives, I still think he's in a great position. Okay, oh no, the robos are unpowered now as well, Nate, and one more disruptor falls.
2 pylons start up. That observer is precious cargo with the robotics facilities unpowered. Can he dive?
So rough.
Can he dive on top of those lurkers and then clean up the rest of the army? I don't know.
I mean, he needs to go. He cannot lose these robos. He really needs to power up these robos again, make sure they're back online. Picks off lurkers with that army left on the 3rd base. Very well done here.
Yeah, there's still 1 lurker remaining on the right side of that army. If he can get that, regroup with there were a couple disruptors that are building. Maybe he can try to pull something together here.
One robot, oh my god, the disruptor was almost out, but it will get picked off in the end. The second robotics facility does survive, but one more disruptor falls. It's such a close battle, but it seems like Hydra has done it.
He shoots, he misses, then all the Hydralisks continue to lambast this natural expansion. There's not much left here to defend.
Such a close fight. This was really, really close, but it seems like Hydra just has enough in the end. Awesome build here by him, though. Very smart. This is a build he used just because he's going up against Neeb. It makes sense to go for a build like this. Disruptor will get picked off before it shoots, and I mean, even if Neeb survives here, yes, he does have money in the bank, but he lost the robos.
These adepts that he's ripping into, they even have the attack speed
upgrade? No, they don't. I don't think we even had a Twilight console on this map.
Nope.
Oh, I mean, he has +2, so yes, he does have a Twilight, but I don't think he's got the upgrade.
Too slow. GG Hydra going up 3-1 here in this
next level.
As you guys can see, we are loaded into game number 5 on Prion Terraces. This man is 1 win away from securing the championship here at DreamHack Austin. Give it up for Root Hydra.
Been a while, Nate, since he won a WCS championship. He did it, of course, in Season 2 last year, which was in Toronto?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
And his opponent in the bottom right position, the American Hope, representing Ting, he's Neeb.
No vetoes means that every Protoss will have to play on Prion Terraces, but even if Neeb has 1 veto, he would prefer to veto another map. Bad news, however, about that is that that map is still to come as well. Arena would be Game 7 if we make it there.
What a crazy ending that would be, considering the last time these two players met, Arena was where it was settled off the back of a very aggressive Ravager rush on the part of Hydra, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Neeb has a lot of work to do if he wants to bring this to match point, if he wants to bring this back to that 3-3 standstill.
Yeah, and I just want to bring up what Jeff said a little bit in the pre-game talk, where I'm a little bit worried if Neeb thinks he can just do the same thing again as he did against Snoot. I don't think it's going to work. I mean, he needs something more than just like, all right, 1 gate, fast expand, Twilight console, let's proxy a gateway, and try to win with a couple of adapts. I mean, yeah, that works on ladder, and every now and then you catch someone off guard. But in a tournament with this much money on the line, this many WCS points on the line, it's not going to work. Hydra will be on top of it, just like Snoot was on top of it. And Snoot really got himself in a great position on Prion. And I'm pretty sure Hydra saw that game. Obviously he saw it. Obviously you've been watching. It's got to be better than that, man.
Yeah, this is certainly one of those scenarios where if Neeb has something else, something a little bit extra that he can put into this, we know that he is known for his very solid standard play, not going super unorthodox, not going too far outside the realm of what's standard, but now will be the time to spice it up a little bit.
Well, once again, so far everything looks standard, Nate. It's that 1 base or 1 gate fast expand, followed up with a Twilight console, would most likely be multiple depths again. I wouldn't mind seeing a Dark Shrine, Nate. We haven't seen a single Dark Shrine in any of these games, correct? In the entire Grand Final, I've not seen a Dark Shrine yet.
No Dark Shrine whatsoever. The only time that it was almost had an impact was when Hydra thought to himself, maybe he will build a Dark Shrine, and we had 7 Overseers on the map.
I mean, often in those late game scrappy scenarios where both players, both races are red or broke, a Dark Shrine is always a great investment, and Hydra was obviously thinking about it. He's like, I need Overseers right now, because if these Hydras die off creep 2 Dark Templars, that is the beginning of the end. So far, this is very similar to what Neeb did against Snoot. However, he's not proxying a gate, and I kind of like that, to be honest, Nate, because I think that's a big investment. Proxying a gate, having a pylon there, having a gateway there, then eventually losing that, that's a very, very big investment. Just opening up with 3 gate and the upgrade for the adepts, I think that's all right. That allows you to expand, allows you to go up to 3 bases, and of course, it forces Hydra to be very careful, because adepts can make their way across the map very quickly and do some serious worker damage.
And we're seeing here with this Roach Warren on the way that he is respecting the possibility of that attack. Almost every other game, it's either been that straight Link Bane like we saw, or straight Zergling Hydralisk like we had on Frozen Temple, and of course previously on Ruins of Endion.
Yeah, no Roach Warren on Prion Terraces, that would almost be suicide, especially if you know your opponent likes adepts and likes that Glades upgrade. So let's see when Neeb decides to go up to 3 bases. I kind of feel like he's setting himself up for it. He did kind of hide a pylon, so don't tell me he's about to warp in 5 gateways, Nate, and just go for an 8 gate on 2 base.
I mean,
No.
That'd be a pretty insane push to try to make work against Hydra. No roaches on the way just yet. Now they're starting, but...
I mean, I love the Warp Prism play we saw of him against Snoot on Invader. That was really cool, right? With like a couple of Adepts running around on one side, having a Prism active in the main base with a few more Adepts. That was really cool, really high level play. Because, I mean, you know, Jeff mentioned as well, Adepts against Roaches, they're not great, but it takes a while before they die. And if you find one Roach by itself, you can actually kill it rather quickly. You do gotta be careful. So this really reminds me a lot of what Neeb did against Snoot. I love the way he played it. Let's see how he's able to execute it this time against Hydra.
I mean, a lot of these Adepts are making their way towards the main base, cancels the Shade at the last second, picks off 1 or 2 Roaches here, just trying to get what he can from this aggression, at the same time taking a 3rd base and also moving into Immortal production.
Yep, he has the Warp Prism over here now as well, so he's going to add a few more Adepts. He's picking up 1 Roach at a time. I think he's going to this time let it finish.
He goes into the main base. Adepts picking off all of the Zerglings here. There's really not that many, especially with the Resonating Glaives upgrade. So throws the Shades out and basically says, if you're going to bring your Roaches up here, I will be able to phase out. But he's not taking the bait, so he cancels the Shades. The Adepts continue to go ham in the main base, and drones are starting to die.
Yeah, this is really good play so far by Neeb. Look at the worker count, Nate. He's up 9 workers. He's still got the majority of his Adepts alive. Of course, he's down a little bit when it comes to army supply, but he's already making the right unit at home, the Immortal, to deal with a potential Roach counter. So far, so good for the American hero.
Yeah, those Big Daddy Immortals are going to be all he needs if he can keep that 3rd base up and running. The Warp Prism is also still a threat out on the map to, even if he wanted to bring most of it home, he can still put pressure on and keep Hydra from immediately counterattacking.
Yeah, Hydra does have a lot of money. That's the only thing that scares me a little bit. He's looking at 950 or 1,000 minerals in the bank. So maybe those queens were a little bit too busy with the Adepts. He forgot to inject, can't spend his larva. I think that Hydra is going to try to go for a massive counterattack, Nate, but Neeb is so good with Immortals and Force Fields that I just don't see him die against it. Look at Hydra. Hydra is making nothing but units of a 39 drone economy. He's going to go for it, but I think Neeb has all the right tools to defend this.
Everything in this tournament for Neeb is on the line right now. This attack that comes in, if he can hold this, he can keep his dreams alive, but this would be the end of his tournament run here in Austin, Texas, if he cannot stop this Ravager Queen Ling push. Everything is on the way over. Blink's on the way, +1 is on the way. The Adepts are counterattacking, but is it going to be enough, Roddy?
I mean, he knows right now, since the Adepts are doing so much work, that the most of the units must be making their way across the map. It's very simple right now for Neeb. Defend and you pretty much win this game. That is a given. He knows that as well. All he needs to do is just hold on for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, the Adepts have still been able to get a lot of work done back at home, cleaning up a good amount of links, cleaning up some drones, but here come the Roaches, here come the Ravagers, throwing down the corrosive biles. Pylons are going to overcharge biles, are not yet able to clean those up. The Pylons really going to work here as another big warping comes in from the natural expansion.
I don't even think it's going to take 2 or 3 minutes, Nate. I think that Hydra is not going to be happy at all with this push. One Immortal is very exposed though, and the pylon being broken down, that is unfortunate, and the Ravagers are doing a little bit of work, but look at the amount of money that Hydra has in the bank. Hydra's got nothing behind this, Nate. He's got no queens at home, he's got no reinforcements, he's got no economy.
Yeah, this is such a crucial moment to be careful. Those biles are the biggest playmakers now, as those Immortals will absolutely shred through those Ravagers once they get close enough. You can't retreat with these queens. There's no creep. They're so slow. And I mean, still more drones have died behind this. 12 workers passed down. +1 attack's about to finish, but this force should be enough to clean this up and hopefully end the game for Neeb.
Yep, Hydra just cannot spend his money. He's got no larva to work with. He's going to lose these queens. He's going to lose the Ravagers. And I think with that, he's going to lose Prion Terraces as Neeb cleans this up with ease.
GG! Neeb puts another point on the board, taking it to 2.
Good map for Zerg.
Yeah, it's one of those maps where you're kind of hoping to get the advantage against Protoss, but all right, guys, we have still match point for this gentleman in the Southeast, up 3-2, representing Root Gaming. Can he take the crown here? He's Hydra! This man keeping his dreams alive so far. In the bottom left of Invader, gave it up for Tings. Neeb!
Crowd has been awesome, Nate. Even when we were upstairs, the crowd was awesome. Yesterday we had like an 11 or 12 hour show and people just stayed all the way till the bitter end. And now over here, I think it's been even getting better. I love it.
It's been awesome. Thank you guys so much. Everyone that's come out to watch this tournament. People standing on the sides, the seats full. It's been great to meet a lot of you guys, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of these finals as we will. Of course, we've got some horizontal spawns here, so the rush distance is quite long, but not by air, Roddy.
Nope, not by air, and we saw that when Neeb went up against Snoot on this map. He really utilized that very well to his advantage with Warp Prism arrest and whatnot. Hydra once again went for a relatively early pull, later hatchery, but I would not even really respect it, Nate, on these spawning positions, because by ground it takes forever to attack your opponent over here on Invader. So even if I scout this opening, if I am Neeb, I'm not too worried about it. The only thing I would be potentially worried about, Nate, is what you mentioned, maybe Queen Ling drop, Queen Bane, or like Ling Bane drop, anything drop-wise. I mean, it doesn't really take a very long time for Hydra as Overlords to make its way into Neeb's main base, but I think that's the only thing he could ever do off the back of this opening.
Yeah, there's not too much to worry about here if you are Neeb, and we've seen his crisis management skills. He's been able to make good plays, good reads, and not overcommit one way or another. And you know, honestly, unless we see another crazy timing like Hydra went for on Ruins of Endion, you know, I feel like this one's still up in the air.
Yep, no, it is. I mean, every game has been highly contested, has been very close, except for maybe Korhal knockout. That was kind of a one-sided victory for Neeb. But all the other games, they have been close, and both players had to sweat it a little bit. It is a fast Stargate, Nate. 100 extra gas in the bank for Hydra, but we see no evolution chamber. I really wonder how this would have played out if Hydra decided to go for Mass Ling Queen. He would have had quite quick access to it. I think it could have potentially worked, actually, because defending Ling Queen drop with only one gate and then a Stargate, it's very rough. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult.
Super difficult, because if you don't scout it as the Protoss, I mean, at that point, what do you need to stop that? Like a Void Ray to kill the Overlords first, right? Or something.
And the biggest problem is you just got no DPS, right? You've got no units. You're working off one gateway. So by the time that those units arrive in your main base, you may be warping gateway number 2 and 3.
Ogre.
Yeah, but then it's like, you know, it's a bunch of happy Zerglings running around in your main. Anyway, we're casting a game that's not happening, because that's not happening. So
they did not actually have a Queen Ling drop, so it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. So it is all good. There's one of that is going to get picked off over here, I think, by the Zerglings. I mean, Neeb doing a good job. Will probably survive for now, and then Shades. No, does not. He cancelled it, maybe.
Yeah. Phoenix production is going though, and we are going to see just how much this is going to be committed towards going straight for scouting, straight for overlords, straight for some other form of harass, and it will be to pick off those scouting overlords very quickly.
It's interesting. Overlord speed on the way, and evolution chamber being morphed in now, but it's a little bit too late for the build that we were talking about. Could still be a +1 Zergling melee build, and then trying to somehow sneak some +1 Zerglings into the main base. If you can get +1 links into a mineral line, that could be devastating damage as well.
So the Phoenix production continuing to go. We have an evolution chamber and that flyer speed for the Overlords. So that could be still something that we see utilized. But now I think there's enough Phoenix on the map that if he remains active with them, he should be able to pick up on this, especially since the next Overlord he shoots is going to be moving real quick.
Yeah, Overlord speed also helps out tremendously when it comes to defending, right, against Phoenixes. Because how often don't we misrally our Overlords? That happens to the best of us and happens to Hydra as well. So if Overlord is a tiny bit out of position, well, then you can still just like bring it back to safety and put it above a Spore Crawler. Baneling Nest as well, so this is pretty similar to some degree to what we saw on Dusk Towers, except for the fact that I think Hydra had a much better economy on Dusk Towers than he has on Invader currently.
Yeah, so I mean, if we really think about the +1 melee, the Baneling Nest, it's kind of giving me some vibes back to the Dusk Tower setup that he had, where he's going to use this to buy time to move into whatever else it is that he wants to do. So do you feel that with this setup, Neeb needs to focus on making aggression his focus, or can he just play a very slow 3-base into 4th?
Yeah, I think he can. I would say slow and steady wins the race over here, because like the Phoenixes will still do a little bit of damage. They'll keep a close eye on anything that's going on the other side of the map. I don't think the ball is in Neeb's corner right now to do something crazy. As long as you're on 3 bases as Protoss, you're doing something all right. If you don't fall too far behind in the work account, which he's not, he's down 5 workers, no big deal at all. I think this is all good. Just keep map control, keep checking on what Hydra is doing, and just take it from there and make the right units.
All right, Double Robotics Facility is the follow-up. +1 melee about to finish, and the Lair's about to finish. So Neeb knows, like, okay, well, whatever your tech is, you are about to build it pretty much. Wouldn't want your Lair finishing too much later than this. Of course, this map, this map's a bit awkward for running around there. Those rocks by the natural, you cannot fly over them.
That sucks a little bit, losing 1 Phoenix there. I always get a little bit upset myself if I end up losing a Phoenix to Queens. Neeb probably too good to get upset over here. You don't want to let emotions take control, but That was an unnecessary mistake. Phoenixes are a lot faster than queens, so you're not supposed to lose a Phoenix to a queen.
I know you're a Phoenix brother, Kev.
Yes.
More in all the loss of Phoenix.
I know. I've got to keep it together. Make it to the bitter end, eh?
So we have the Infestation Pit on the way. The Hydralisk End's about to finish, but Baneling speed and +2 melee. Hydra really likes having these Lings and Banes to throw. I mean, think about the way that Protoss players play these days. Immortals are good, Immortals are great, but you don't have that AoE that you used to have, and Heart of the Swarm and Wings of Liberty that made, as we talked about earlier, Zerglings and Banelings kind of useless.
I mean, Zerglings and Banes are great up to a certain number of Protoss army, right? If Protoss hovers around like 125, 130, you can definitely swarm that with Ling, Bane, and good upgrades. Ooh, one Immortal getting cut out of there, but it will be saved. Or Sentries over that save today as well. But if as a Protoss, you just identify what you're playing against, and you take a fight with 165, 170
Oh, that
supply.
Adept getting surrounded. A bit frustrating there, losing that. Some Lings are going to be able to make their way into the main base. Keep in mind, they have +1 melee, which means those probes, if they go onto them, will be able to be picked off much more quickly than usual.
Yep, these Lings are indeed going to be really annoying. We mentioned this in the start of the game, but good job there on the Adepts, and Neeb ends
Pro
up...
Micro doesn't really lose much. Drop Overlord just finished as well.
He's going to try to drop a couple of Banelings, I think, into the main base. But once again, I definitely think that Neeb has learned from Dust Towers. He's not going to make the same silly fight twice with very heavy Immortal Stalker composition and nothing that's really good against Lings and Banes. He's going to get a similar fight, but this time with 4 or 5 Archons. A couple of Adepts in the mix, you know, sprinkle in a couple of Adepts, he's going to be more than fine, eh?
So Neeb starts up the 4th Nexus, looking to get into some other tech path. Psionic Storm is on the way, and Charge is also pretty close to finishing now. It's +2 melee completes. Keep in mind, the Hive is done. So these Phoenix come in, they see the Spire finishing, they see the Hydra Den, and these +2 Lings are going to come in here and rip this Nexus apart.
Yep, that's an excellent counter over here by Hydra. I love it. Much more importantly, what is happening with that Overlord, with the Banelings inside of it, it's making its way towards the main base. A lot of probes clumped up here, Nate.
It's so saturated. It goes to sort of a few gateways, needs to run away. Those Banelings do have the speed upgrade, so they can catch up just a little bit faster than normal. He's like, okay, you want to go there? Now I'm going to go to your natural. Just run all the probes everywhere.
Very fortunate that Neeb was paying it. Oh, all these probes so close to each other. That's not good for my heart. Very unfortunate. You saw that Neeb was warping in a gateway there. He's like, let me just warp in a gate. He's like, oh my god, it's an Overlord. Run, evacuate. Well done there. Neeb in the end only losing mining time and 2 probes. Very well done.
Could have been a lot worse there, considering he was a bit oversaturated in the main base. But look at the money. Neeb has options. He's got Storm now. He has Archon potential. He has High Templar already out on the map, so he can use Storm against the Banelings if necessary. And the Immortal count is healthy enough, but the Greater Spire is finishing. He sees the Corruptors. If he wants to push before Broodlords, he has to go now.
Yeah, but it's going to be rough. It's so hard to just rush into that, right? Because he's going to have to worry about the same thing as he worried before. Does he have enough Archons this time, Nate? He's much more Zealot heavy. Zealots are, that's like, all right, Force Fields are good, but...
Decent Force Fields, but there's still a lot.
He's very Zealot heavy, though. Okay, there are the Archons. Those were the 5 Archons I was talking about. That's what he needs. But it's also important that he keeps some of the Zealots alive or anything else. Now all the Zealots died.
The clock is ticking. Broodlords are on the way. Adrenal Glands is done. If the Broodlords can mop this army up, this very low-range army, he will be able to obliterate Neeb and take the championship here in Austin. 2 more Stargates are on the way.
I mean, Neeb is going to try to do damage here, but I don't think he's just going to suicide his army, Nate. He's going to try to see what he can do, test the waters, realize, like, okay, you've got quite a few Hydras. I can fight that, but as soon as those Broodlords show up, I think Neeb will just evacuate. He's wiping in 8 Zealots, I think, in the main base, and that could actually do a lot. Maybe he can find the Greatest Spire or something.
Going for this big counterplay. There's no Mothership Core to evacuate this army as it continues to dance around. Infestation Pit is gone. Zealots clean up the Lings, but now the Broodlords are here.
Oh, Lings are going to try to trap the Immortals.
Great flank, trying to stop them from being able to get away. Feedbacks that Overseer, but not a huge deal. Void Rays are coming out. There is no Fleet Beacon.
What's gonna run? I mean, Void Rays are not the ideal unit, but it's something at least that's gonna keep you safe. Prevent you from dying. Look at these Zealots going crazy on the Great Spire.
One of them
started to get very close, and I think Neeb might be able to finish it off.
Barely able to kill it. He does take down the Greater Spire, so no more Broodlords, no more Corruptors, but is that enough? Has he taken too much damage during all this time? He got a 4th Nexus up. That's something. The economy you know, somewhat even, at least trying to push that close towards equilibrium. But Void Ray's very weak against Hydralisks.
Yeah.
He needs these to get directly on to those Broodlords if he wants to have a chance at winning this game.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting dance, right? Void Rays, very good against Corruptors and Broodlords, very bad against Hydralisk. Well, good luck positioning them, but I'm sure that Neeb can find a way. Army-wise, it's still very close. And Nate, let's not forget, Invader is a ridiculously big map. So, yeah, Hydra's got a couple of Broodlords, but is he just going to send them across the map?
This could be a really big mistake.
Lose all of them.
If he
Void
sends
Rays are going to clean it up.
Yeah, if he sends the Broodlords somewhere where the Hydralisks cannot support them, the Void Rays and the Phoenix should be more than enough to come up and just annihilate those. This could be a huge error out of Hydra. Where are they?
I mean, I guess he's waiting for 6 Void Rays. 3 Void Rays would sort of be a close fight. 6 Void Rays will just sweep this army.
Bring the boys out. Come on, let's go. The Void Rays are here on top of the army. They just need to move in on the Broodlords. Just right-click. There we go, baby. Coming in now.
Alignment. Let's go.
12 probes did die, but the Void Rays move faster than the Broodlords. There's prismatic alignment. The Corruptors, there's no chance against this army. The Broodlords, keep in mind, there's no greater Spire. The Spire's only just now finishing. The Broodlords are dying. Neeb is doing it. He's cleaned up the high-tech force of Hydra.
Yeah, if I'm Hydra right now, I cancel my Spire. I'm not sure if it even finished up, but I go back to making Hydralisk. And then the only thing that Neeb needs to do, Neeb, like this is a dance of text right now. Like you do this, I'll do that, I'm going to try to outsmart you. Neeb needs an answer to mass Hydralisk, which he doesn't have right now. Whether it's going to be Corruptors, or excuse me, Disruptors or Storm, it's one of the two. But he could still lose against mass Hydra, Nate, because never underestimate Hydra Ling.
The Banelings are still being used because those melee upgrades have been researched all game long. So just using charge lots to bully those Hydras down isn't going to work.
He needs to be a little bit careful. On creep against this many Hydralisks, this could become very, very dicey for the American Protoss.
And Neeb tries to make this counterattack work with the Banelings, annihilate the Zealots, and I think just a bit of an overcommitment with this counterattack, overextending. The Void Rays stand no chance against these Hydralisks.
Yeah, well there we go. Storm on the production tab immediately. That's what they needed, but Neeb just lost a ridiculous amount of units, and that was a little bit unnecessary. A very, very expensive army. Most of the Void Rays will get picked off, and can he survive right now against the counterattack of Hydra, which looks pretty devastating, Nate? There are Vipers in the mix as well. Let's not forget about that. Dusk being used.
GG! Hydra takes the game, and with it a 4-2 championship victory over Neeb. The counterattack not enough to stop the Korean Zerg.
Wow, great play by Hydra. I love it, man. Very, very smart. Went back and forth when it comes to making the right units at the right time. I think in that final game there, Nate, it was very close. If Neeb sits back, makes Disruptors, gets Storm, maybe that could have still been anybody's game, but once again, give this man some credit because he played a phenomenal tournament. I love the way that Hydra played in this finals. Very, very smart.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, your DreamHack Austin champion, Hydra!